This bonus episode was brought to you by the Gakoids over on Patreon. Thank you so much for your support. And now, on to the episode.
Nita's here. That's Nick in the afternoon. Hello, hi, Mom. Up here. We got you picks, you dips, and lots more stuff from you.
Me.
You. We got Nick too.
Yeah.
And celebrities too. We're in the studio. On the go, all around. Out there. Whoa. Super now. Jolly good, yes. Just for you, yes. Time of every day. Hey. 'Cause you never know when it's gonna go in the afternoon. Noon.
Kick it.
Welcome to Splat Attack, a 90s podcast that dives into the slime-filled past. I'm your talking dipstick, Brett.
And I am your you-pig stickerific co-host, Alex. And Brett,
Yes.
who are we visiting today for our last bonus episode of the season?
Ooh, I'm so excited. We're actually headed to downtown Nick, New York headquarters to visit one of our old buddies. Someone you may remember from the Nick in the Afternoon segments way back during summer in the mid-90s.
All right, now simmer down. Does that mean that you're telling me?
Yes, our favorite popsicle stick, Stick Stickly himself.
Right to me,
Woo!
Stickly, P.O. Box
963, New York City,
New
New York
York
State, 10108. Eat your heart out, McBark the Crime Hound.
I'm serious. We gotta move fast
Who's
before.
a good boy? Is him a good boy?
I'm just gonna go.
Oh, you want to go outside? You gotta go tinky poo poo.
I already went, okay?
He's got to catch your jingle.
Oh man, I'm so excited. I'm excited
I'm
about
glad.
this one.
Me too. Yeah, we've been wanting to do this episode since November of our first season, around the time we
Yes.
did Nick's Thanksgiving Fest, but I don't know what happened. It was like either a scheduling thing or we were just still finding our footing with the podcast. But now we finally have an opportunity to go over one of the most iconic Nickelodeon mascots of all time. And, you know, today's his day to have the spotlight shine on him. So before we do that, though, we have our friend joining us in the Stickly Nick in the Afternoon studios. She's actually popping up out from behind the stage. It's our friend Amethyst.
Simmer down, this song will be over.
Hello. I
Welcome.
am so excited to be here.
We're glad to have you here.
Thank you. Very excited to remember my favorite popsicle stick.
The one you don't want to throw away after you're done eating.
Never has its own spot in the windowsill by the plants.
Did anyone ever try to make a stickly? Did either of you try to make a stickly when you were
Oh,
kids?
I did. I can never get him to look right because the googly eyes weren't the right shape and colors from
Yep.
the craft store. And I couldn't figure out what his nose was. I think it was either like clay or jelly bean, but I did my best using like kitchen assorted, ingredients to make him. And even though he didn't look quite right, I like to pretend that I was, playing Nick in the Afternoon with him in my grandmother's living room.
Yeah, I did manage to make the eyes. I found them at an art store, but I couldn't get the
Nice.
nose or the mouth.
Wow. Oh, y'all are way more crafty than me. I thought about it many times. But then I would go outside and climb a tree or something.
Why not just break a branch off and whittle your own stickly? Do it like the pioneers used to.
Nope, no
I'll
thank
have
you.
to find a time machine and go back for that one.
Yeah. Here's my pocket knife. You can
Me-
practice.
Me with a knife as a child, my parents would not let that happen.
Well, I was in Boy Scouts, so they allowed it. They knew I was responsible. But anyways, let's talk about some of our earliest memories of Stickly. What do you first remember about seeing him on Nickelodeon, if anything?
What do I first remember? I don't remember like a specific segment or anything. I just remember him becoming like part of my afternoon and a very enjoyable one. So it was definitely like Nick in the Afternoon was like my jam for sure. Yeah, that's we'll start there. Of course, I took notes and I got plenty of other things to say, but I will not hog it all for now. I will hand it over to one of my lovely friends.
Sounds good. Well, if anything comes up, feel free to butt in.
Oh, yes.
I don't remember when I first saw Nick in the Afternoon. What I remember more is You Pick during the summer. Because I remember we had those days that we were off school, but our parents still had to go to work, like election day and things like that. But on those days, you still had Nick Jr., so you were just stuck with whatever the normal routine was. But during the summer, Nick Jr. was pulled back a little bit, and You Pick was moved up, and we got to enjoy summer break with Stick Stickly, and I loved watching those segments. I loved watching the dipstick segments, and there was a few others. I loved whenever they had the spinning wheel and Stick would turn on it, or Hollywood would turn on it. And I remember all the little bumpers where he would be like in front of a goal for soccer, or he had a cape on and he was flying through outer space, and I remembered all those, and it was really fun. And the constant simmer down. It was fun, and it I don't know what it was. It was something about it that just felt so innocent and fun, even though it's just a stick. We all got so connected to this little stick, but I think the reason for it was because he was kind of a spokesperson for the kids, letting the kids take the spotlight, which was fun. But anyway, that was the memory that sticks out more with me. Sticks out more with me.
Very nice, Alex. Just like me copying your shirt for tonight's episode,
Yes.
I also have to copy the memory because I remember Stick Stickly first from You Pick. I believe I came home from some summer programs around 2nd, 3rd grade when this came out at the time. And I remember just, turning on the TV, flipping through the channels, trying to find something that caught my interest. And I would, land on Nick in the Afternoon when he was in his little studio with the light socket behind him in the window and his little nighttime show desk, and that really captivated me because I used to play with Legos and miniature type sets as a kid, so it was easy for me to transport my imagination into that kind of handcrafted type world where things shrink down and somehow the magic was amplified by doing so. So I really loved seeing all the different segments that they had to do, especially the one behind me, Dipstick, where he goes in blindfolded and has to figure out what he's being dipped into just based on the texture or maybe even smell.
Even though I can't see or hear a thing, I can taste and I can talk, and I'm ready to dip. So let's go, dip away.
And I found it very charming and very accessible for people who may not be able to relate to other shows on Nickelodeon that might be a little too above or below their caliber of imagination. For me, this struck like a really nice balance as an elementary school kid.
Yeah, it was fun. It was just fun, and the fact that everyone remembers that ridiculous jingle. Case in point, I just started, the two of you joined in, and every time I'm on Facebook or Instagram and I put anything Stick Stickly, or anyone does, everyone starts, oh, I remember this jingle, and it's perfect.
It's stuck.
Write to me, Stick Stickly, P.O. Box 963, New York City, New York State, 10108.
My brother, I'll have to send it to you, Brett, but my brother had just come across a collection of old VHS tapes that his grandmother-in-law had, and he's been going through and finding a whole bunch of commercials, and he found a couple tapes that was on Nickelodeon, and there was a commercial on it for Nick in the Afternoon before Nick in the Afternoon started. It was just, hey, the show is starting, that I'm Stick Stickly, send me your stuff, send me anything about you. Well, what's this? What's that? I mean, it was almost like the Figure It Out commercial. And he said, send it to, and then the address showed up, but not the jingle. But it was still the exact same address. And I was like, oh, this is definitely pre Nick in the Afternoon. I don't think they started that jingle until the 2nd season.
What a rare gem.
So I'll save it and put it in the clip thing for you. But that was fun to see that the address never changed, because every time they'd send postcards for sweepstakes or anything like that, it was always New York City, New York State, but the P.O. box is always different, and even sometimes the zip code was a little different, but But it was fun to see that Stick Stickly's was always that address.
Yeah, and a good address to pick because it has a certain flow to it too.
It does.
Yeah.
Easy to put a jingle to. One of the things that I always loved best about Stick Stickly was, I mean, yes, he was fun during announcements, loved Stick Witness News. That was always a fun segment for me. I love his funny hair. It was so adorable. It was so cute. But what I loved most were his candid moments, his like off the cuff. He was done with his announcement and then he was just kind of wandering off camera, kind of talking to himself, right? Or somebody, would be, just talking, and he's like, oh, brother.
Hey there, Sticky Boy, what are you doing?
Nothing. Just reading resolutions.
Hey, speaking of resolutions, did I ever tell you the one about the man who resolved to wear a quesadilla as a hat for an entire
good luck,
year?
Chrissy and Jimmy.
Well, the cheer starts to... Wait.
And then he walks away. And I always loved those moments with Stick. And I would love to know if they were like improvised or if they were like scripted. But the thing that I remembered, or that I guess I connected to with him as a kid, was I talk to myself all the time. I still do. I probably always will. But that was something that, was kind of frowned upon in my surroundings, right? But then here's this popsicle stick and he's doing it and he's weird and wacky and silly and funny, and nobody's out here judging it or saying that it's wrong or bad. And so weird and wacky became this like thing. And that's one of the things that Nickelodeon, I think, did best in general, was it created that atmosphere of weird and wacky kids, like let yourself explore these sides of yourself without judgment. It truly was like television for kids. Because I remember being like, okay, well, if a popsicle stick can talk to himself and he's real cute, then so can I. And like, it's fine. And it's not, weird's not bad. So I appreciated those moments about him, and that, and that was just about almost every segment.
Well, I can address some of that because Rich Berry, he worked for Nickelodeon for a very, very long time. A lot of the promos that we had seen as a kid, he made a lot of those. I found him through Facebook, and he saw the commercials that I was sharing. He's like, "Oh, I made that one. I remember making that one." And he got to actually puppeteer Stick Stickly at one point for Nick in the Afternoon. And he was the showrunner for Slime Time Live in the 2000s. But I got to interview him and was asking him about Nick in the Afternoon, because him just doing the puppeteering, it's not much. I mean, you're just off camera holding a little puppet. But I asked if the person who provided the voice was there, and did they do anything, or did they just record everything and then they played it on location? Because there's a lot of times that he was on location too.
Right.
And he said, no, everything had already been recorded. They put him in the studio, they gave him a script, and he did the script. Now, those little bits that you were talking about, they would have a little bit of guidelines, but most of it was talk about this as you're leaving. Oh, okay. So it was slight improv, slight not, but everything was already pre-recorded, and then they would just send out to whoever was going to be making the puppeteering, and then they would just play the track while they were moving stick around.
I love it.
Fascinating.
It's simplicity done so well.
Indeed. For some reason, whenever I see Stick Stickly and just the way that he interacts with the world, it conjures up a lot of memories of another similar type character called Pizza Head from the Pizza Hut commercials.
Yes.
Where they're like in their own miniature worlds, and sometimes humans interact with them, sometimes not, but more times than often they get into weird hijinks and kind of slapped around a bit too. It's very similar type of comedy, and I find it very endearing that has found a home on Nickelodeon for a few years in the 90s. And I almost wish that Pizza Head and Stick Stickly had like a crossover at some point, or at least have Pizza Head on Stick Stickly's show to like talk about what it's like to be a pizza and constantly be foiled by like Super Steve or that pizza wheel that's always like combating him.
Now it's time for the Pizza Head Show.
Hey everybody, I'm done trick-or-treating and now I'm gonna go for a stuffed crust pizza at Pizza Hut. Yay!
Not yet, Pizza Head. There's one more place to go.
I don't think anyone's home.
Sure there is.
Stick Stickly here, and you can tell by my scent that Halloween is coming soon. Ha! Anywho, what was that?
Interesting hieroglyphics on this pizza.
Quick, Pizza Head, let's go upstairs.
Hey, who lives here anyway?
Brett, will you tell us about how Stick Stickly got started?
Sure. So Stick Stickly is a fictional character from the minds of Agi Fodor, who was the producer of Nick in the Afternoon, and Karen Kuflick, the writer of Nick in the Afternoon and Play With Me Sesame, and also the voice of Stick's friend Twiggy in the Stuck Christmas special. Stick was created by adding red googly eyes, a yellow jelly bean nose, and a black sprinkle for a mouth, although some sources claim that it was plasticine clay instead, which has a very firm moldability to it. Stick would then star in his own afternoon summer programming block called Nick in the Afternoon, which aired weekdays from 3 to 5 p.m. for the next few years. And so when we did our research for Nick in the Afternoon, we basically broke it down by the segments he did, because the show was built around a lot of pre-established shows that we'd watch, like Nicktoons or like the live action shows or game shows, and they would be like in between fillers and bumpers for this special programming block during the summer. So, it would start with the whole Nick in the Afternoon intro, and then he would do like a segment, and then we'd go to either a commercial or a show, and then come back and do like another little segment, and then, continue with the show and so on and so forth until, the programming block was over. So here we have a rundown of all the different segments that they covered in, during this time period. Starting off, we have U-Dip, where viewers pick the substance Stick is dipped in, and he has to figure out what it is while blindfolded. The announcer would reveal the substance and the names of the viewer who suggested it to the audience, while Stick remained unaware. This segment was later renamed Dipstick, as you can see behind me.
Now, to add to that, that was later changed a bit, because, it was the same segment, but it was still called U-Dip after it turned into Dipstick. But it was no longer Stick Stickly who was being dipped in, it was the audience. There were several times, especially with Lori Beth Denberg, where they would be outside Nickelodeon studios and they would have a tub of this stuff, and they would have kids get in it barefoot and do the same thing. They were being Dipstick, only now U-Dip is now you.
Seems more appropriate that way.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we have You Pick, the one that we're all familiar with, where the announcer would lower a small video screen of the kid who has a request to see either a Nick show or special next on the lineup. Occasionally, You Pick was an abbreviated bumper where Stick spun around on a wheel and his head landing on the answer that would be shown right after the bumper. We also have Straight to You, which was a fan mail segment where fans submit their own fan art, including their own iterations of Stick Stickly-esque characters. And I actually have this in a Nickelodeon magazine that I got from Alex as a Christmas gift. Thank you very much for that.
You're very welcome.
Where it talks about Stick Stickly and Ooze News on page 50. If I can find it. Almost there. Yes, right here. So we got this. I'll show it on the screen best I can in the editing, but you have some of the user submitted Stick Stickly characters that were considered or shown on screen for the show. So very fun that they have that level of audience engagement at the time before like live streams and stuff like that existed nowadays. This was from the February 1996 issue, by the way, of Nickelodeon magazine.
That one was one of my personal favorites due to the cover.
Yes.
Can't imagine why.
Do you want me to hold this up a little longer for you? I mean, he was on top of his game back then with The Lion King, Jungle to Jungle, a few other movies he did, like I'll Be Home for Christmas. So moving on, we also have a Top 10 Recap, which is a segment hosted by Holly B. Wood involving a top 10 list submitted by their audience. Usually the list would be like, top 10 pets, top 10 things to do during summer, something fun that kids can really get into. And for those who don't know who Holly B. Wood is, she's actually behind Alex on the screen. She's like this wooden, like Italian ice popsicle type thing with clay hair and a pearl necklace and also a round clay nose. And she has a very big, extroverted personality to her. And Stick Stickly actually used to have like a crush on her, but she was like too busy and involved with her her work to notice, but
She was a career woman.
She was very, very much like Charlotte from Rugrats.
Please excuse me a moment. Jonathan will show you around while I see to a minor crisis. Jonathan, I was just telling them what a caring, personal company this is.
But that, as Nick in the Afternoon progressed a little bit, they kind of shifted things away, and they introduced Twiggy to kind of fit Stick Stickly better as a love interest, which we'll get to in a moment.
Yeah, I'm also curious about the rest of the family, of course, but specifically Woodchip.
Woodchip?
Yeah, Woodchip.
Hi, everyone, it's me, Stick, and that was my family wishing you a happy Thanksgiving. And now back to nonstop Nicktoons weekend. Woodchip!
Woodchip. I'm like, where did Woodchip come from? Because I get the brother, Woodnot. And I'm like, interesting. I think it's to like round out the family.
Yeah.
So there's like, all the equalness of siblings.
Yeah, we actually see quite a few of them during the Thanksgiving special that Stick Stickly hosted for Nonstop Nicktoons Weekend in '97. So there's the top 10 recap, and then of course we have Mom's Corner, where Stick Stickly's family gets involved, where Stick's mom mentions useful homemaker tips and random tidbits, all while embarrassing Stick Stickly in between, as moms do best.
Anywho, to get those pesky grape juice stains out of your clothes, well, try soaking them first in a little vinegar, and then you do... Hey, Mom here. I just have to thank you for all those rubber bands you sent in. We must have thousands of them already. Long ones, skinny ones, red ones, yellow ones. I think I even saw one with purple polka dots. Stick is going to have the biggest, bounciest, most beautiful rubber band ball you ever did see for his Nose Day celebration. I'm so proud. Then 1 cup vinegar, pour it slowly. Thanks a lot. You guys really got the ball rolling. And kiss those grape juice stains goodbye. Cha-cha-cha.
Do any of you guys have any particular memories tied to Mom appearing on Nick in the Afternoon?
I do not.
I remember I enjoyed her voice very much so in the way that I enjoy all the female characters on Bob's Burgers. And just something about that voice. I don't know, it was very, very entertaining. Like, usually as a kid I'd be like, oh people, boring, but I was like into what she had to say because of her voice.
Yeah, I mean, old people aren't entirely useless. They have some sage wisdom to offer here and there.
As I now know as an old person. So.
You're not that old.
I mean, even Nickelodeon did a couple of, well, they did one segment. They didn't do very many, but they did former kids segments where it featured a senior citizen and talked about what life was like for them when they were kids. They didn't do it too often, but I think just because kids didn't, just because kids didn't resonate with it, or they played it in a really odd time, like between Nick Jr. was ending and Nickelodeon was starting, but.
Oh, everybody's getting their sandwiches and during that time, like they ain't paying attention. So
yeah, they were probably those people on those segments were like, back in my day, we didn't have no fancy Nickelodeon on the TV. We had to look through this weird looking box and just turn the crank on the side. And this was back in the 70s when the channel first started, and we only got to see it in black and white and no sound, and we were better for it. Darn it, consarn it.
Introducing Nickelodeon. Children's programming that's fit for children.
And every child immediately got up to get a snack.
Yep.
Yeah. Old people are not interesting to kids. I appreciate Nickelodeon for trying, but can't win them all.
No.
Yeah, I do want to mention that, believe it or not, Paul Christie, who voices Stick Stickly, also voices the mom, which I find particularly peculiar because I always thought he sounded a lot like Fred Newman, who voices Skeeter and actually Doug's grandma on the show Doug.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, cool. Oh, thanks, Mom. This is great.
It's a real beauty, isn't it? Your great Uncle Oakley would be so proud. Look at that skate. It's like it's never been touched. Oh, Twiggy, my dear, what a lovely surprise.
Remember, Doug, life's a picnic and we're just starting to nibble. Speaking of food, I'm starving.
We touched a bit on the side characters, so I'll give you a rundown of who we ended up finding in Stick's family tree lineage. Of course, there's Holly B. Wood, which we mentioned. She's voiced by Sarah Winterer. We also have Stick's mom, voiced by Paul Christie. Twiggy, who's voiced by Karen Cufflick herself, who is also a writer for Nick in the Afternoon. Woodnot, which is Stick's twin brother. I believe he's also Paul Christie. And Super Stick, Stick's superhero alter ego.
Would not always reminded me of, and forgive me for forgetting the actor's name, but Iago from Aladdin.
Oh, Gilbert Gottfried.
Thank you. My apologies, but yes, that would not always reminded me of Gilbert Gottfried.
He has like that specific nasally shouting kind of voice to him.
Wait a minute, what's going on here?
Look very familiar.
Woodnot?
Yes, it would happen to be Woodnot.
No!
Yes, not!
Huh.
You got a problem, Pinky?
With the New Jersey-ish, whatever accent that is, and it worked. It was that stand-up comedy, like from that era, which I thought was hilarious.
Now you've got one more segment, and then I've got one to add too.
So finally, we have for our segments is Flop Stick, a short-lived rare segment where Stick is dropped face first into a mystery substance. The one we found in this episode is a cherry pie.
And there was one more, very much the same thing, where it was very short-lived, but it was called Splatter Stick. And they had him standing blindfolded in front of a bullseye, and then they just chucked the food onto him. And the one, hang on, let me scroll down to where I've got it here. Thousand Island Dressing.
Stick with Thousand Island dressing. Blah.
Oh my, this is a thrill. I used to be quite the tuba player when I was a little girl. I could blow the tuba harder than anyone in my whole school. Oh, great. Why, I even brushed my teeth before every performance with a special toothpaste. It was called Tuba Toothpaste. Cha-cha-cha.
Simmer down, Mrs. Stickley.
All right, dear. Anywho, here goes. Yeah. Oh, nice blow, Mom. What on earth is this smooth, funky, limpy thing? It's creamy. Cody. Yeah, Cody. Like clothing. A dress. Dressing. It's dressing. And it came out really fast, like 1,000 miles an hour. So it's got to be, let me see, Thousand Island dressing. Yeah, Thousand Island dressing. Oh, boy. Oh, thank you. Oh, that was great. Now, if someone could get some of this off me, maybe wipe me down with a little radicchio or a nice spinach leaf. Anybody got a radish laying around?
Pleasant. Anyone got a salad? That's totally right up Pizza Head's alley with that kind of.
Oh yeah.
Throwing stuff and beating them up. It reminds you that yes, they're a fun character, but they're also actually just a basic object that can be manipulated however you want by the unseen hand of God that touches them. We do want to mention some contests that Stick Stickley was also involved with, including some sweepstakes. There was the You Host Nick in the Afternoon segment where people would write in to, essentially get a spot on Nick in the Afternoon so that they can host with Stick Stickley and even pick some of the shows with them. So it was like taking You Pick a step further. And then there was also the New Year's News Flash. Particularly the one we found for this was from 97, where Stick Stickley mentions that all of the viewers write into him with their New Year's resolutions too.
So far, those are the only ones that I'm seeing also.
Do you have anything to add for that before we go on to cameos?
No, I've got quite a few additional cameos to add.
Okay. Stick Stickley also had his fair share of cameos on his show, including Josh Server on Holly's Top 10. He also featured Jonathan Taylor Thomas on Dipstick too, because of course he was all the rage back in the 90s. Mm-hmm. We also have Lori Beth Denberg, who would occasionally co-host the You Pick segments, as Alex mentioned earlier, where they do the U-Tip live near the Slime Geyser. So you could say that's the precursor to Slime Time Live, even when they did a lot of those segments outside with Dave Azer and his crew of afternoon Nickelodeon staff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And in addition to the cameos that you had pointed out, there was quite a few others. During the U-Dip, there was one where Kel Mitchell was also there. During the start of one of the episodes, they had Danny Tamborelli. A lot of the bumpers that they would often have one-on-one interviews with somebody. There was Lisa Leslie, who was a basketball player. Preslesa Edwards from Mystery Files of Shelby Woo. Irene Ung, also from Mystery Files of Shelby Woo, and they were doing a mystery of trying to find Alicia Silverstone's chewed gum.
Yes.
I remember that, oddly enough.
There was an interview that he had with Will Smith talking about Men in Black. I know there are others, but it's trying to find clips is pretty difficult. But I know that he was one of those characters that was always around and did a lot of crossovers with other people. I mean, even during the nonstop Nicktoons weekend for Thanksgiving, there was a year when Keenan and Kel were hosting, and they were crossing over with other Nickelodeon personas. And at one point, Stick Stickly showed up on their hosting. But I know there's others, but that's all that I've got right now.
I'm pedaling. Put your pedal to the metal. Calm down, man. It's just a call coming in, man. Hey, yo, Stick, man. How you doing, man?
Okay. I'm just hanging out with the family for the holidays, you know.
Stick! What are you doing out there?
Nothing, Ma. Anywho, I just wanted to thank you guys for hosting Nick for a few days, you know, so I could spend some time with...
Stick, come in here. We're taking a family picture.
With my mother.
Hey, no problem, Stick.
Are you guys okay? It seems like you're having some real problems there. And
Put your pedal to the metal. No. Everything's fine.
Stick, hurry. Uncle Morty's dressed up as a drumstick.
Oh, boy. Are you sure you don't need any help? I could come over. Right now, I could come.
No. Everything's cool. We got everything under control, all right? You have fun, Stick.
But I could...
Kel, what? Yes, pedal to the metal. On my pedal.
Speaking of Beyond Nick in the Afternoon, Stick Stickly wasn't only known for this popular summer segment. He actually had a few specials before he rounded out the 90s with his popular appearances. So to start, we actually have not one but two specials that were about a half hour long that aired. And one of them was called Oh Brother from 1995. And for those who've catch sight of it, it was actually a multi-part series, like 3 short segments that were eventually edited together for a half-hour segment, where essentially Stick looks for his long-lost brother after having dreams of him. And he ends up, at the Twin Towers back when they were still a thing in New York City, running into Woodnot there, of all places. It's pretty cool to see him interact with him for the first time, because there's this point where they like cross each other's path near like a shiny, like glassy surface of a building nearby, and they're looking at each other kind of like Lucy and Groucho Marx from I Love Lucy, where they're just kind of mimicking each other's movements, and then one of them just like touches the other person. You realize it's not a reflection, it's actually them. So it was a fun little charming special. And after that, we see Woodnot appear more often in Nick in the Afternoon. So it was a great way to introduce his character and also give Stick Stickly some background and depth to him beyond just the segments he did.
But also, not necessarily Stick Stickly, but Holly B. Wood, she interviewed Stevie Wonder, of all people.
Wow.
Hello, beautiful people. Have I got the scoop for you? Arnold, I just called to say I love you. Oh, hello, everyone. I've got a riddle for you. What's wooden, absolutely adorable, and sweeping the nation? No, not Stick Stickly. Well, of course, Stick, but think again. I'm talking about Pinocchio, the movie. Well, I got the chance to interview Stevie Wonder, the musical super genius. He wrote and performed 2 songs from the movie. Roll it, fellas. Stevie, may I call you Stevie? You look fabulous.
Thank you. May I call you Holly?
Oh, Stevie, how is everything?
It's great.
Now tell me about Pinocchio. I just love the story. Actually, he's a distant cousin. Were you a big fan of the story when you were little?
Well, I have to say that I was, because I said I was and my nose was getting on there.
Well, I'm not lying when I say that I can't get those Sabu songs of yours out of my head. What, or shall I say who, inspires you to write a song?
Life itself inspires me, just living and from listening to radio and different things on television and meeting people, and I'm sure you will inspire me to write a song.
Could you? I mean, would you? Pretty, pretty, pretty please, with a cherry on top, sing me a little something? I'm such a fan of your music. Just a little ditty for Holly.
Holly, Holly be Hollywood, Hollywood, Holly be good, Holly, Holly be good, Holly be good to me.
Oh, Stevie, that was beautiful.
And Stick Stickly also interviewed a star.
Yes, that's actually the end credits clip that I used for this. Yeah, it's not Patrick Star, it's more like a starfish. And
just a starfish on the beach.
Yeah, you're just gonna have to stay tuned to the end of this episode, like the very end, to really get the full effect of it.
Oh wow!
So after Oh Brother aired as the first special, we also have a Christmas special that they made simply called Stuck, and that was in 1997, where Stick Stickly meets a girl named Sophie, who invites him to the Woodcrest ice rink to ice skate with her and the ice cadets. However, Stick needs to skate to participate, so he visits his mother to get equipped with a family heirloom, which happens to be an ice skate that gets stuck on his head. But as we find out, ice skating isn't as easy as it seemed when he spends the whole episode essentially trying to get unstuck and learn how to skate to impress this girl that he just met, while his mother and Twiggy get snowed in by a sudden blizzard. And I say blizzard in quotes because it's really just like a plow truck pushing a bunch of snow from their cute little house on the edge of the sidewalk.
Looks clear as a bell to me. Sometimes those weather rings don't. What? Oh, Annie! Oh my! Out of a clear blue sky.
A lot of great moments in that. I ended up watching it and adding it to our schedule for a future Christmas episode. It's a lot of fun. You get to see like three characters, stick characters, play off of each other. So if you haven't seen that already, Slimesters and Gackoids, check that out. To round things out, we also have Nonstop Nicktoons Weekend, which Alex had mentioned before, which aired during Thanksgiving of 1997. And this is actually the first time we see Stick Stickly's extended family. And while we didn't really get too much interaction with them, we did see him in the background, so we're aware of his family tree, beyond just his mother. Last but not least, we have Nick New Year's from 1998, which was co-hosted by Danny Tamborelli, Amanda Bynes, and Lori Beth Denberg. And I actually showed that in our most previous New Year's live stream as a bumper for some fun. So what happens in that special is in between the Nicktoons and the live action shows they show during it before the ball drops, we see Stick Stickly and Twiggy investigate why the slime geyser has run out of slime. And what we find out later on for all the different interactions and searching for tools to repair the slime tank is that the mother siphoned a lot of the slime off using a tube to I believe make cookies or something to that extent. So once that problem's solved, they hook up the slime tank, they pull the little slime geyser that Styx has next to them, and they wish everyone a happy slime new year with it just gushing in all of its glory like Old Faithful. Yeah, it's a bizarre sight to behold.
We would expect nothing less.
Yeah, Styx Stickly is a little guy with a big presence on TV.
Amethyst, I was actually going to ask, is there any particular memory that sticks out for you more than anything else in Stick Stickly's time on Nickelodeon? Did you have a favorite segment? Was there one joke that you remembered more than anything else? What are some memories that you have?
I think this is so random, but it was just, I think, a bumper segment that he was doing. And I don't even remember what he was announcing, but I remember he said something about Jurassic Park.
I've got that one.
I just went nuts because, I loved Jurassic Park. I've always loved dinosaurs and Godzilla and Reptar and all the giant lizards. And I love a good pun. Come on, Jurassic Park. It's adorable. Right? I was like, that's a good one, Stick. That's a real good one. And then he has to go off camera because all the dinosaurs are eating all the dips and stuff, of course, because they have dips, and the camera shaking. and they show this 1 second shot of like the audience of popsicle sticks, and it's just, and the dinosaur sounds, like, of course, to me as a kid, I was like, oh, it's dinosaurs, oh my god, you know, like, it was very, like, I was like, this is so cool, there's dinosaurs in Florida. And then as an adult, when I watched it, I was like, those sound more like chickens, but like, it's fine. Like, that's what happens when you become an adult.
Yep.
You forget to suspend your disbelief.
Hey, hi, it's me, Stick Stickley, and this is Nick in the Afternoon. We got a lot of great stuff coming up today. In fact, right now, we have the actual dinosaurs from the latest Stick dinosaur movie, Jurassic Park. Yeah, it's what's going on back there, guys? Better go check on the dinosaurs. Oh, boy, hey, folks, we might have to cancel the dinosaurs. I'm sorry, but they're eating the dip food. We've got lots of dips. We've got a lot of great stuff coming up today. So keep watching while I try to reason with these guys, okay? Guys, could I talk to you for a minute? Just for a sec. No, guys, Tony.
I really enjoyed that segment for a lot of different reasons. And I did actually enjoy a lot of the you dips. It was so, we just were not encouraged to play with our food, and here comes Nickelodeon with like every excuse to play with food, like dip a popsicle stick in some honey. Like, it was just, you know, even the slime, it was just always such an interactive, like, textural thing, and it was bizarre, but like, it was so fun. It was just, it again, it let us be silly. Let's see. I think one of my other favorite segments was where Stick is in space and he's making announcements, and he's got the machine next to him and it's not saying anything. And then at the very end, the machine turns around and says, I know exactly what you mean, or something like that. And he comes back on and he's so thunderstruck. He's like, what? Whoa, did you, what? Like, his astonishment was hysterical. So it was just those random moments more than any other thing that I really enjoyed.
Yeah. I feel like that's what really sticks out in many people's memories. Yes, pun intended. It's going to happen during this episode, where he's just. I really love these charming moments where we see him outside the studio. Like, you pick and you dip and all that is great. It's good fun when you're coming in from a hot summer day and you just want to relax with the TV on. But I like seeing these little moments where he's out in the real world exploring and seeing all these different things and just seeing how he interacts with them. And he's got this like this cute nervousness that reminds me of like Hugh Grant when he stammers talking to a pretty lady, where it's just like, I don't know what's going on. Hello, do you have anything to say about that? You know, and it's just fun to see how he handles these situations despite his anxieties or uncertainties. And I feel like a lot of kids, especially younger kids at the time, can relate to that because the world is a very big unknown variable to them. And unless we have like a frame of reference, we don't really know how to interact. So I like how he encourages adventure and exploration and curiosity, even if it may not have been intentional with his interactions throughout these bumpers.
Right.
Yeah, because he was outside Nick Studios. He was at the beach. He was at a farm. He was in a grocery store. I mean, he was everywhere. It was not just on, you know, in the studio. It was out and about, and that was fun to see.
Definitely.
But anyway, what was you going to say, Amethyst?
The other thing that I really enjoyed was when he would read kids' letters.
Yes.
Because he would always have something funny or even a little encouraging to say. And I don't know, I always appreciated that. And I always looking at other kids' handwriting for some reason. I'd be like, okay, see, I can read that. I can read mine. Like, okay, we're doing good on the handwriting legibility.
Right? Yeah, like, oh, at least mine's not as bad as his. Yeah, writing into shows was definitely a staple of the 90s. I remember Mystery Science Theater 3000 used to do that segment at the end of their show on occasion, and it was really fun to see them just like have that indirect interaction with him, and also send things like pictures and drawings of things that they really liked about the show. And I can't really recall any other show on Nickelodeon doing something similar. So it helps Nick in the Afternoon stand out with that interactivity.
Mm-hmm.
Unless it was like a sweepstakes, but in terms of regular shows, they didn't have that element.
Right, correct. I remember, I think it was the 97 New Year's that he hosted. He was reading some of the resolutions.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was really cute.
Yeah.
Something that I had just thought of, because you had commented that one of the things that you liked was how he was giving kids an opportunity to send in letters, and also one of the segments was You Pick, where the kids got to send videos. And the very first commercial that I had just talked about was Send Me All of Your Stuff. And I just remembered that there was a show on Nickelodeon prior to this called You to You that was all about two hosts that were having fans of the network send in letters and videos and all the stuff that Stickly was doing, and then connecting it with other people who were fans, because this is long before social media and you could do any of that kind of stuff. But it was a connection between network and kids, and a lot of times it was sending things over to various celebrities. Like there was one where kids were sending in questions to ask Ben Savage from Boy Meets World, and that was fun, but the show didn't really click. But the U on it, the logo for that stayed the same for Stickly for the first season. And I think this was You to You was a precursor for Nick in the Afternoon, because the kids liked the format of being able to send stuff in, but I don't know what the deal was. I don't know if it just didn't connect very well, or if the fact that the child hosts were going to age. Now you've got a mascot that doesn't age and requires very little production and post-production, and now it's less about the host and more about the kids. And I think that's why Stickly took off as much as it did, and less so the You to You.
It's very much in line with the Nick is Kids philosophy they had at the time.
Yes. There was a brief revival for Stickly in the 2010s, because there was they had 90s Are All That and the Splat for a while, and he came back on for that. The 90s Are All That, which started in 2011, there was promos where Stick would come out in front of a new set, and there were a few jokes that were a bit more adult. They weren't over the line or anything like that, but there was like Stick happens is now one of the things that he was saying, and because I mean he's playing to us 90s kids now. This was at nighttime. There was a New Year's Eve thing again, where this was in 2011 going to 2012, and he was pretending to be Stick Clark, which was a play off Dick Clark's
New Year's Rockin' Eve.
Yeah. There was Game Show Week. He was a host for Game Show Week on August the 5th, 2013. There was some new U picks for June 2015, and his last quote-unquote live appearance was on the Splat's You Pick Week, which was in February 2016. Twitter users could request shows using a hashtag You Pick the Splat, and they did have some dipstick segments during the commercial breaks, but that's pretty much it. I know that if Stick made a new appearance again, they should do like a and we had just talked about this for the Wienerville episode. Stickly should have his own TikTok.
Oh, yes.
I mean, people would tune in for just anything.
I mean, we can do it. The budget's very low. We just go to, the local craft store, assemble one. We can do our voices for them.
I mean, Leon Frierson, he has a fuzz puppet, and on his Instagram, he would do some little quick fuzz puppet things like he used to do. So
That's
I mean,
great.
we could still do Stickly segments.
Splat in the afternoon instead of Nick in the afternoon.
There you go.
Yeah. That's a great idea. Did any of you happen to catch any of these segments when they were around in the 2010s? Any memories?
No.
Yes. just because I had satellite and I was going through everything, every channel. I mean, it was one of those, oh, I just got this. I got to see everything that's on here now. And
you're like Marty McFly with the 20 screens and Back to the Future
yes,
too.
Yes.
Okay, I want the channels 18, 24, 63, 109, 87, and Weather Channel.
Weather Channel bringing you world's weather in 24 hours. And weather conditions remain the best.
Hey, son. Watching on TV for a change?
But it was all news. I got to go through everything, and then I came across the Nickelodeon channel. I was like, I don't watch this garbage anymore. What's this? What's Double
garbage? Come on.
All that.
Stickly has been in a lot of substances, but not garbage.
Oh no, but it was Nickelodeon. I mean, it was 2011 Nickelodeon.
Oh, I see.
And I'm going
Modern
through
Nickelodeon,
and I'm going through the guide, going, what is all this? What is all this? What is all this? And then in the evening, late night, all that. Clarissa Explains It All. Double Dare. What is this? I am setting the DVR to record this, and then saw Stickly had come on there, and I was so excited. I was like, "Oh, they brought Stick back! This is so cool!" And then I recorded it the next day, and it was the exact same thing from the previous day. I'm like, "Ah, crap. Okay, fine. I'll record it again on the next day." And it was the same thing. I was like, "Oh my, you have so much you can pull from."
Yeah, Alex and I recently did a Ask Me Anything today, and both of us have expressed interests that we think we can do a better job than Paramount Plus to honor Nickelodeon's past, especially with like some of their lesser known but still well beloved shows like Roundhouse and Welcome Freshmen coming to streaming. So hopefully, if anything allows us to grow our podcast further beyond just being a podcast, we can fulfill those much needed requests from the 90s Nickelodeon community.
Yes.
I only have a couple brief memories about Stick in 2010s because I caught the Splat on here and there. This was just after I graduated college, and I was excited about the 90s All That because I hadn't seen a lot of the Nickelodeon shows since they first aired. I didn't have like VHS tapes or anything of them, unfortunately. So it was very refreshing to see like Kenan Thompson show up on the big orange couch with like the 90s Are All That logo and announce that it's coming back for people because, you know, we're older, but we still want it. We're keeping the nostalgia alive. And so one of the segments I remember seeing is the New Year's Eve with Stick Clark, and just really enjoying the authenticity of that, how he was acting just like him, but with a little more edgier dialogue, and even having their own version of the ball drop, which was a lot of fun. And then I have this very faint memory of Stickly visiting a zoo. Someone did mention that it was on the Splat, but I couldn't like find anything else to connect to it. So if we happen to find any footage of him like walking around on a sidewalk next to a zoo gate, we'll put it here. If not, oh well, we'll have to leave it up to our Slimesters and Gakways to help us find some of the lost footage.
Yes. The adventure began when I was walking out of the zoo. You know when something just hits you all of a sudden? You know what No! When an idea hits you. Well, anywho, after seeing all the animals at the zoo, I suddenly realized what I need is a pet. A pet, not a peel. Maybe I'll get a dog. Yeah, a dog. Man's best friend. That would be... Yikes! Whoa! Fetch! Roll out! No, fetch is a bad idea. Just kidding. I feel like lunch. Oh, boy. No, somehow dogs and sticks are not peas in a pod, if you know what I mean.
And that's one of the things I love about this. It's one giant community, especially the things that we've been doing. We've met a lot of people who've also been also are archivists, and it's all about pulling together to find all those old resources and hidden media and lost media and stuff like that. So, yes, if anyone knows any other Stickly segments, please send them our way. We'd love to share them.
Indeed, and also preserve them.
Yes,
as a part of our Slimefeld past. So Amethyst, do you have any final thoughts before we wrap up this Stickly special topic and head into our segment of the day?
I cannot think of anything other than this has been a absolutely fabulous trip down memory lane. I'm loving it.
Thank you for joining us.
I'm seeing Stick's face, and I will share one memory, a personal memory about Stick, but I will never forget one afternoon I was watching, of course, Nick in the Afternoon. And that was one of the things that also I enjoyed about, side note about Stick, was that he was a bit of a constant. Like, even if I'd had a really crap day at school or whatever, I knew I was going to come home, get me a snack, and then just chill and veg out, and that he was going to be there, and he was going to give me the information, give me the announcements, give me some jokes, make me laugh. And that was comforting, you know, and that's why we have that nostalgia, I think, is because it's comforting, you know, in a fun way. It was Nick in the afternoon, and my mom comes in, and she is an English teacher, writer, director, very intelligent woman, and she's watching these bumpers, and she's like, I just don't understand what is so fascinating about a popsicle stick. This is the weirdest thing I've ever. Y'all watch weird stuff. And then she walked on into the kitchen, you know, and I just remember thinking that was the coolest thing. I was like, Stick is so cool now. Because my mom is a very intelligent woman, and all due respect, but Stick is cool now because she thinks he's annoying.
It's all about that 90s rebellion.
Right. He was, you know, and in that way, he was very endeared to us in our individual ways as a friend, you know. If the adults don't understand it, it gets the stamp of approval.
Exactly. It's kind of like when they slimed the teachers and Nick takes over your school sweepstakes, because you expect teachers to be like condescending and authoritative, but that's your opportunity to get back at them by just having a lot of nonsensical fun. And I think Stickly fills that void for us, even if you know, we don't necessarily experience it anywhere else, whether that's at home or at school.
And I think that's hilarious that of all things to not fully understand on Nickelodeon, Stickly is the one that she's said something about. It could have been so much worse. It's one of the most safest things on Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
I mean, if she had been in the room for the other thing, she probably wouldn't have let me watch any of Snick. But, you know, it was Saturday night and she was tired. So I was like, yes. It's time to have nightmares.
Indeed.
Well, first it was Roundhouse, and so we had the dance break, and then we had all that, and then we had Clarissa, and then we had, you know, it was so many wonderful things, but we always ended with Are You Afraid of the Dark? And I was like, all right, nightmare fuel, let's do it.
Oh yeah, that's how I got my start.
even as an adult, when Are You Afraid of the Dark came back on, what was I watching? I think it was Pluto TV or just something really random. And I was like, oh, I love these, and I was thinking this is going to be little kid stuff. Those things were terrifying. I know that's not this episode, but that's just let me just say, as an adult, I was like, yo, no wonder I had some dreams. Okay.
Was there any episodes or imagery that particularly scared you?
The one with the shadow people. The one that she put on the glasses. Lord help me. Like,
you want to come back for that one?
Please, because I have so much to say about that.
We'll have to figure out where to fit in our schedule, but we'll keep that in mind. It's definitely one we wanted to touch for a long time, and that'd be a great opportunity to have Richard Dumont back on the show.
Yeah, I'll have to get my church fan out for that one. Like,
but I do want to touch on one other thing that you had just pointed out, was the fact that Stickly was a constant. And I think that's something that Nickelodeon had done really well. Yes, they had changes, and there were constant changes that were made. But once they hit their groove of their original Nicktoons and their own original programming, especially around 93 and on, the changes they made didn't seem as stark as the changes that they had made from the 80s going into 93. And growing up in the 90s as a kid and having the way I was in school and being able to come home and everything, I know what I'm getting programming wise, and it was a safe space. Not to say that my home wasn't a safe space, because it was, but I spent a lot of time by myself at home, so the TV was kind of my babysitter, unfortunately. And but I could have Stickly, I had Snick, I had those reprogram or the resyndicated shows of Looney Tunes and Inspector Gadget and all those things. It was a safe place, and Stick was just a welcoming host of just let kids be kids, and while we're at it, let's watch some shows while we're at it. It felt like he was hosting a watch party for us. And yeah, I fully agree with the constant.
Now we have to do Splat in the afternoon with Stick Stickly.
Yes.
Because I've done watch parties in the past, so I pretty much know how the format goes. If we had him there, I'm sure it'd really add the extra level of interactivity that people just adore.
Yeah, I'll help y'all do some voices.
You can help us. You can help us make the replicas puppets to use on screen.
Yes, I've done a little bit of puppeteering.
Okay.
In all my theatrical experience.
Cool. Well, let's head down to Michael's and blow $50 on Popsicle.
Yes, and googly eyes and yellow jelly beans.
Yep.
Maybe we can play. And we gotta figure out something for his it was the Stick Witness hair, but
Stick Witness news hair, yeah.
Yep.
Televangelist.
Wait a minute, I have that hair right now.
It's nice groomed. He had it was the flip, Night News Nightly
Yeah.
And now for the good news. Stick with the stoves with Stick Stickly.
How's my hair? Oh,
this is Stick Rather with the news.
Yes.
Yeah. Good times. Were you guys aware that Stick Stickly made a cameo appearance in the Nickelodeon software for PC, the Nicktoons 3D Movie Maker?
No.
That was the thing. Actually, I'll show you my background real quick. I'll put some footage in here, but essentially, see, he showed up right there. He introduced the player into playing it. And what you would do, it's like Movie Maker for kids, Windows Movie Maker, and you were given a couple of 3D models from different Nicktoons. There was Rocco, Avril's Monsters, Ren and Stimpy, for example, and you would place them in 3D versions of different sets from these shows. And you would cut them together, pose them, and move them around. But because of its unwieldiness, it was very, very difficult to make a decent movie. So I'm sure there's some YouTuber, Twitch streamers who have attempted to play this and had some wild results just because of how cumbersome the interface was. Similar to that Nick movie studio that we covered in episode 10. Nick takes over your school. Not quite as innuendo-y, but still, I wouldn't recommend playing through this more than once for the novelty. Having flashbacks of PTSD. Poor Brienne. Poor Brienne. We have not spoken to her since.
Pause right there.
There's me.
Yeah, the lower right corner.
That's her.
Does he use it?
I don't know. I haven't got that far yet.
Wait. Oh, there she is.
That's me.
Yeah, it's. They apparently like that one more than you. What the hell was that? What the hell was that? That was suggestive. Well, they like yours.
Oh, goodness.
Okay, we're gonna stop that. This is just full of surprises. Bloopers. Oh my goodness. Reminds me of a Plumbus from Rick and Morty.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. And I've never even played this game before.
I haven't either.
Maybe we need to do a Let's Play for our patrons on Patreon once we get there. Well, even in 2022, going into 2023, many fans still remember this quirky character and how he entertained us with wacky segments and wild adventures for a good portion of our youth in the mid-90s. So today, we keep his memory alive through fans archiving his specials on YouTube, making enamel pins, t-shirts, mugs, and more. For Stick will stick around with us in our 90s nostalgic childhood hearts. All right, guys, we're going to stick around for one more segment before we head out. I know that pun's getting old by now, but our show isn't, because we have, backed by popular demand, Think Fast to Make the Grade, where we get a little bit of a Stickly trivia going. Time to think fast to make the grade. Okay, so for Think Fast to Make the Grade, how it works is that we have a couple questions here based on Stick Stickly trivia. Alex and Amethyst are going to play. I'm going to read the questions, and we'll keep track of who gets points. And essentially, it starts out with 1 point, but it gets progressively more difficult. So some of them will be like 2 points, 3 points, 5 points, so on. And most points at the end of the round wins. Maybe prizes will be involved, maybe not. We'll see. Maybe Stick Stickly will show up. Anything can happen. To begin with, think fast to make grade. Hands on your buzzers. Raise your hand, whatever you want to do to ring in. Here is the first question, and it is multiple choice. When did Nick in the Afternoon first air? Was it A, June 1993, B, July 1994, C, August 1995, or D, May 1996? Amethyst.
Was it June 93?
That's gonna be my guess too.
It is. 1 point for Amethyst.
Yay!
Good, you're giving Alex a run for his money because he's had a winning streak by himself for the past 5 episodes.
One question in, boo-boo. So
yeah. She's bringing the heat. I love it. Question 2 for 1 point. What was the dipstick segment originally called?
Ah!
Alex.
You dip.
That is correct. 1 and 1, tied up. Question 3. This is worth 2 points. True or false? Holly B. Wood has appeared on the U-Pick spinning wheel before. Amethyst.
Is it true?
It is true. That is correct. Amethyst 3, Alex 1. Anyone's game still. Jeez. Getting tongue-tied here. Question 4 for 2 points. Name both half-hour specials centered around Stick Stickly.
Ha!
Alex.
Stuck and Oh Brother.
That is correct for 2 points. So it looks like we're all tied up 3-3 right now. Anyone's game still. Now things are getting a little bit more tricky. Question 5. This is 3 points. Who created Stick Stickly? Hint, we mentioned it earlier in the episode.
I was waiting to see if...
I don't remember the whole... I just remember part of it.
Yeah, all I remember is the first names.
Right, I don't have the whole name.
What do you remember?
Addie?
Nope.
Or
Aggie.
Karen? Addie. I'm incorrect.
That's okay. It was
Aggie Fodor and Karen Kufflick.
Okay.
I was just gonna say Aggie.
Well, we should have a timer because to me it seemed like no one got it.
Well, I was giving her a chance to try to say it, but that's okay. Go ahead, move on.
Yeah, no
one got that one.
I did not have that one
Okay.
in the bag.
Here's a bonus point. All is not lost. For 1 point, what character did the second creator voice? The second creator is Karen Kufflick.
Wait, I'm sorry. What was the question again?
What Stick Stickly themed character did Karen Kufflick voice? For 1 point.
Well, besides Stick Stickly.
Well, Karen didn't do Stick. Karen did another character.
Oh, right. She did Holly B. Wood, right?
Nope.
I feel like no. I don't remember.
It was Twiggy.
It was okay. I was gonna say it was either Twiggy or it was the other Would not. It was one of those two. But I couldn't think about it.
That's okay. That's a tricky one. I mean, these final questions are tough. This is like Jeopardy round now. Okay, question 6 for 3 points. What holiday has Stick Stickly hosted for more than any occasion, and how many times did he host it? So you have to give me both parts for the full points. Amethyst.
I'm just gonna say it was Thanksgiving, and he hosted it 3 times.
Half correct. I will give you 1.5 points.
1.5 points.
No, it was 3, but it wasn't Thanksgiving because Thanksgiving. I mean, they switched that a few times. I mean, Keena and Kel did it. I think it was New Year's.
Oh, hello. Yeah.
Alex got the other half. Okay, he gets a 1.5 point.
1.5 points.
Wow. 4.5 versus 4.5. We got this is down to the wire. Okay, wow. Okay, final question. This could make or break the game for 5 points. So it's really tough. What Nickelodeon software did Stick feature as the main character / host? And you have to give me the proper name.
Was it no?
Amethyst. Go for it. Go for it.
3D Nudie Maker? No, that's close.
Yeah, that was it. You got it.
Is that really it?
You got it. You won with 9.5 points. Woo! Hooray! Congratulations. I will send you a Splat Attack sticker for your valiant efforts.
Yes, get a sticker. I'm excited about that. I'm more excited about that than some of my Christmas presents. So thank you.
Awesome. I mean, I have an extra Wienerville hat if you want that too.
Honestly, though, I will take it and put a lot of rhinestones on it and wear it to Pride.
Already. You get a sticker and a Wienerville hat for participating. Congratulations. Wow, that was a lot of fun. Any final thoughts before we close this episode, guys?
I just want to say thank you, Amethyst, for being here. It was a pleasure to meet you.
Yes, thank you again so much. This was so much fun. And I guess final thoughts, just thank you to the universe out there for Stickly, the creators, the puppeteers, the people that keep him alive in our memories. So thank you to all. And also the Splat Attack community.
Thank you very much. Yes, thank you, Slimesters and Gackoids, for being here and supporting our show to help us keep the Slime-filled past alive for generations to come. And Amethyst, thank you very much for being on here as well. Appreciate you having here to talk about your Stickly memories with us.
This was so much fun.
And this is our last bonus episode for the season. So thank you to all of you Gackoids who have been supporting us throughout throughout this season. So thank you guys very, very much. You guys are awesome.
Indeed. Definitely stay tuned for our Season 3 overview when we cover all of our bonus episodes, minisodes, and mainline episodes to kind of have a quick retrospective overview of what we went through over the past 6 months. So that's going to be very exciting to tune into. I know, we're both very exhausted.
Wow, we did so much in 6 months.
Yeah, somehow more than both our previous 2 seasons combined.
Oh yeah.
But we're still here and alive, so thank goodness for that. All right, Gackoids. Closing question. What is your all-time favorite Stickly related memory? Let us know via email at splatattack2021@gmail.com or via DM on Instagram at splatattackpodcast, or even in our comments section of our Patreon post or the YouTube channel, Splat Attack Podcast. Doesn't matter where you contact with us, as long as you share your questions, your answers, and just interact with us. It's all good fun. Again, thank you, Amethyst, for joining us today. Before we go, is there anything you'd like to plug or share?
You can find me on all the social places. I will leave y'all it's at Amethyst Alchemy, but I'll leave that for you because spelling. And yeah, thank you again. This was absolutely wonderful. Yeah.
Thank you. Without further ado, Alex, will you drain the slime tank for us, please? I'm going to inspect the dipstick tank to see what substance is in there today.
Aye, aye, co-captain. Let me know if it's edible or not. Oh, and one more thing. Here's your blindfold.
Thank you. Let's hope this won't stain my clothes. I mean, this is a very vintage Stickly shirt after all. And I might have to steal yours.
It's okay, you can have mine.
All right, thanks. Anywho, simmer down, everyone.
Simmer down, y'all.
Spot you later, Gackoids.
Bye.
Ugh, this feels gooey. Ugh. Get me out of here.
Hey, doesn't anyone eat plain old peanut butter and jelly anymore? Sheesh.
Reprise the theme song and roll the credits.
Hard to believe, folks, but it's time to say goodbye.
Nighty-night. Check us out next time for more adventure and another great legend of the Hidden Temple.
What'll we do till then?
Chill for a couple. We'll be back. You're on, Nick.
And it was time for the superhero to move on.
I declare this meeting of the Midnight Society closed.
Bye-bye.
Stick Stickley here. Today, Nickelodeon wanted me to interview a big star here at the beach. Well, I found a really special star right here. Have you been a star all your life? Okay. Maybe I can ask you a few questions. What do you find to be the hardest thing about being such a big star? Do you have any favorite hobbies?